You don't want to get too caught up in a week 2 matchup, but damn, this feels like the biggest game, regular season game Washington's had in a while. Now, like last year, we got to Atlanta in week 17, and that was a win and in game, and it was Sunday Night Football. Like, that's bigger. You know what I mean?
It is.
But this feels different because it's like it has low-key, like, Clash of the Titans, NFC Championship game preview kind of vibes.
It feels like that because the year Washington had last year, okay, and then Green Bay is that team that people have been talking about for a couple years now. You have 2 very good quarterbacks and the addition of Michael Parsons going there to Green Bay. The national media and people, football fans, get involved with this one. So for Green Bay, they proved last week, okay, they beat Detroit. I had to remind Mike Florio this morning, Detroit's the same team that Washington knocked out the playoff last year. You didn't know that?
Right.
Because they keep telling me, well, they dismantled Detroit last week. Did you see what Washington did to them in the playoffs? And I believe this football team in Washington is better than it was last year. So you start to get that early stuff. And listen, man, you can learn a lot by them winning the game or how they play the game. Sometimes things go different ways and you don't get the results you want, but you can go out there and still, after this game, people go, well, this is a damn good football team. Because I think last year we played Tampa, then we played the Giants, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, they felt the team had something. Week 3, when they went to Cincinnati, people knew they had something.
Right.
And the same things will go down this year. So we'll see.
In a lot of ways, it feels like that Bengals game last year where expectations were 0. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Washington lost the opener, barely survived the Giants week 2. The Giants didn't have a kicker. Right. This feels different because I think there is some feeling that Washington could play nationally, but people still think – you said this earlier, and I don't know if we were on the air or not, but like the Micah Parsons trade, if you just look at the eyes of Vegas, the Micah Parsons trade changed the Packers' win total by a half a game.
Yeah.
And then you look at tonight's line, which is, I believe, still sitting at 3.5, right? Like it hasn't really moved. 3.5 to Vegas is home field, and so on a straight up neutral field, this would be a half-point game.
Yeah.
It looks like it's down to 3 actually now. Depending where you're shopping, it's 3 in most places. It's 3.5 at the big places still, but like Vegas moved the Packers win total by a half game because of Micah Parsons. This game on a neutral field, Green Bay would be favored by a half point. Vegas sees these teams fairly even.
Yeah.
Playing in Lambeau at a night game certainly brings complications.
You understand?
But it doesn't feel like that is the national viewpoint of this. I think the biggest thing that's hard to reconcile for me for looking at tonight's game is how well the Packers shut down the Lions' run game last week. Yeah. And the Lions are a team that not only run the ball really well in the Dan Campbell era, but like it's also their identity. Didn't
they lose one of their main
2?
So
two offensive lines.
I was just watching this just a moment ago. They showed about 8 plays right here on ESPN from that game. It looked like nobody was blocking.
So the Lions lost. Ragnow retired, and then they lost a guard. In last week, though, David Montgomery, who runs hard as hell, 11 carries for 25 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, who torched Washington. Honestly, I don't know why Ben Johnson got away from it in that NFC divisional game, but I'm very glad he did. Jahmyr Gibbs went 9 for 19 in that game. As a group, the Lions ran 22 times for 46 yards for 2.1 yards.
Yeah.
Washington last week ran the hell out of the football. Bill went 10 carries for 80 yards.
You talk about how hard Montgomery runs. I'm watching Jared Goff hand him the ball, and instantly he was hit. The block, just like last year, I made the comment with Brian Robinson. He was having to make people miss in the backfield. That's what that happened to them. If Washington offensive line could come out and block like they did last week, this is going to be a different ball game for Green Bay's defense. They had an advantage, a distinct advantage, it seemed to me, what I just saw from those plays. And it's a small example, small sample size. But in this game coming up, offensive linemen get a better feel of themselves. They begin to have a better confidence when they know that they ran the ball like that. So they're going to be coming off that damn ball. It's going to be a different ball game coming up. Because the guy they had that was their run stopper, he's in Dallas now.
Kenny Clark.
Yeah, so we're going to, listen. As I talked with Fleury, I told him straight up, I said, listen, bro, Dan Quinn has said this. Quan Martin said it last year to you. I mentioned your name, Jay. This team is good, too. But this is what I still believe.
I love that line from Quan.
Fans, media people, especially national, still don't look at this team as to what they saw last year. They still got remnants of what they saw prior to last year. Because he mentioned it. Talking to him this morning, he mentioned that. People still can't see this team as the team it has become. They still see this as a Dan Snyder-led team with those coaches that were trying to promote themselves instead of coaching the damn football team.
For me, two huge differences in the Commanders' run game tonight. One of them is a stat. So to your point about Montgomery and Gibbs barely are getting out of the backfield, if you look at offensive line performance from week one, the running back rush yards before contact, in general, Washington's running backs, we're not even talking about Jaden here, but the running backs did not get contacted. There was no hit. There was no action. There was no traffic at their feet until 3 yards downfield.
Yeah.
That was the second best in the NFL last week. Mm-hmm. Detroit's running backs were generally hit about 1/10 of a yard past the line of scrimmage. That's a massive difference because then the running back's talent takes over. Ideally, the running back breaks a tackle or makes the first guy miss. Mm-hmm. So when that's happening 3 yards down the field, ideally you're talking about a gain of 4 or 5. When that's happening basically at the line of scrimmage, that's a huge factor.
Makes a world of difference.
And then the other side of this, I am no mathematician, but who would you consider the better runner? Jaden Daniels or Jared Goff?
JD?
Goff's a really good quarterback, and I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves in a lot of capacities. Mm-hmm. But he is a zero threat to use his legs. Yeah. Jaden is, whatever your scale is, 10, 100, 1,000, he's a 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, 1,000 out of 1,000 threat to use his legs. That also changes the run game.
Totally.
So I just, if you look at one of the reasons I think Detroit was so ineffective last week was they couldn't run the ball whatsoever. So then they're completely one-sided with the pass. I don't think – we'll find out tonight if that's who Green Bay is and they could just shut down the run all season. Or if last week – I think week ones are really hard because a lot of teams are figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
But I also think Washington comes into this game with a much better ability to run the football.
I agree.
Like – Detroit last week's figuring out a new offensive line down 2 players, 2 key players. Washington's coming in with the old – now, granted, a month from now maybe it's Cosme, but, they're really excited about Tunsil, Coleman, Biotish. Allegretti played well. Yeah. Connerly was pretty darn good. And I think, you got to maybe help Connerly out with Parsons. You know who helps? John freaking Bates.
To be honest with you, people help out guys that have been in the league forever with Parsons.
Right.
So – for those people that had the narrative of stuff about Conley, if he's been helped out, it's not like nobody else goes and block him one-on-one by himself all game. That's just a part of it.
Interesting question for you. Last week, Bill only played on 1/3 of snaps.
All right.
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt played 33% of snaps. But on those 33% of snaps, he got 50% of Washington's carries.
Okay.
Do you see the snap count going up, the carry count going up? Because Eckler was great last week, and Eckler, I've said this throughout the offseason as people were trying to figure out what's going to happen with the Commanders' running back room. Austin is always going to have his role. Mm-hmm. He is a savvy veteran. The play he made on the 2nd and 16, the individual effort on that little screen pass was phenomenal. He's a good blocker. He's a smart player. Eckler's going to have his role. Do you think Bill's carries will increase?
I think they might increase, and depending on how well he's running it. You know what I mean? I also feel that it could be just like it was last week. If Eckler is balling like he's been balling, and Debo is doing the things, and Bill doing it, you keep the team, you keep them off balance. But if you just see where Eckler may not be getting it like he's supposed to, but Bill is just cooking them, keep running him. And I think that's the thing about it. Cliff doesn't have to go into this game with a mindset, oh, I'm going to run so-and-so this amount of time in this game. He can still go out there and just start playing his deck of cards and find out which one is on that day. If everybody's on, that's better for the offense. If one or two people on, you go to them. But you never, ever stop putting the other one out there to make sure that you keep putting thoughts in their head and make them think something else is going to happen.
Totally. I also think the Commanders' rushing attack is so varied. Like, there's so much variety for how they can throw stuff at you. And Detroit, there's certainly variety because Montgomery and Gibbs are different runners. And Gibbs is super talented and Montgomery's super tough and physical. But that said, like, these are different teams running different offenses. Mm-hmm. And I do think, especially at this early portion of the year, Washington's got the better O-line going into this game than Detroit did last week. I just think when you really start to dig into some of the numbers, there are things that make a really big difference. And if you look at that running back contact rate from last week, mm-hmm. and then you juxtapose that with the pressures on the quarterbacks, Goff was under pressure throughout that game. Mm-hmm. Jaden got his pressure rate in this game, which honestly the pressure rate on a guy like Jaden's probably a little inflated because of his ability to move. Jaden was pressured about a little less than 30% of the time, call it 25% of the time. Goff was up close to 40%. Like, if you look at those differences, maybe Green Bay's defense is the difference, and we will find that out. But those numbers are dramatically different. Mm-hmm. And I think that is really something to consider tonight when everybody wants to tell you how much Green Bay shut down Detroit last week, and they did, undeniably. That doesn't mean the same thing's going to happen tonight.
Totally.
Rarely in life or pro football does the same thing happen week after week.
100%.